The asteroid mining station at the edge of Sector 7 wasn't supposed to have dragons. Yet there one was, barely the size of a house cat, sitting outside Alara's workshop with crystalline tears streaming down its iridescent scales. Alara had seen many strange things in her 5 years as the station's only human mechanic, but this topped them all. The creature's wings drooped like wilted flowers, and clutched between its tiny claws was something that might have once been a toy. A mechanical bird, now twisted and broken, its gears scattered across the metal floor. "Hey there, little one," Alara said softly, kneeling down. The dragon's enormous amber eyes fixed on her, and it released a pitiful chirp that sounded like wind chimes crying. Most species in the galaxy treated dragons as nobility, ancient, powerful beings whose kind had mastered starflight before any other race had discovered fire. But this one was just a baby, scared and sad, holding the pieces of something it treasured. Ilara's human heart, that stubborn thing that felt too much and cared too deeply, wouldn't let her turn away. "Can I see?" she asked, extending her oil-stained hand. The dragon hesitated, then gently placed the broken toy into her palm. The metal was still warm from the creature's natural heat. She carried it into her workshop, the dragon following close behind with tiny clicking footsteps. Under the bright lights of her workbench, Ilara examined the damage. It was exquisite craftsmanship, far beyond anything she'd seen from the station's replicators. The bird had been designed to fly, to sing, to move with lifelike grace. Now it was just expensive scrap. "This is pretty badly broken," Alara murmured. The dragon made a sound like a tea kettle losing steam, more tears forming. "But hey, I didn't say impossible." Humans had a reputation in the galaxy. They were the newcomers, the upstarts who'd barely mastered faster-than-light travel a century ago. What they lacked in advanced technology, they compensated for with something the older races had long forgotten: the stubborn refusal to accept that anything was truly broken beyond repair. Ilara pulled out her tools, primitive by galactic standards, most of them custom-made because her human hands worked differently than the multi-jointed appendages of other species. She began the painstaking work of sorting gears, straightening bent wings, rewiring the delicate neural network that gave the toy its semblance of life. The dragon watched with intense focus, occasionally making soft, encouraging sounds. "You know," Ilara said as she soldered a microscopic connection, "my grandmother used to fix toys too, back on Earth before she joined the colony ships. She said every broken thing deserves a second chance." She smiled at the memory. "Guess I inherited that from her." Hours passed. The dragon never left, even when Alara offered it food from her rations. It simply waited, patient and hopeful in a way that reminded her why she loved this work, the quiet faith that skilled hands could make things whole again. What Ilara didn't know was that she had an audience beyond her small companion. Prince Valen stood in the observation corridor above the workshop, his magnificent form hidden behind a cloaking field. He had been searching for his nephew for 3 hours, panic growing with each passing moment. The royal hatchling had escaped from the diplomatic vessel, and the political ramifications of losing a member of the imperial bloodline could destabilize the sector. When he'd finally tracked the youngling here, he'd expected to find the child in danger. Instead, he found this: a human, a species the Empire had barely acknowledged, considering them too young, too volatile to matter, treating his nephew with tenderness. No recognition of status, no calculation of political advantage. Just simple, genuine care for a crying child. Valen watched as the human's nimble fingers performed what seemed like impossible precision work. Dragons were master technicians, their understanding of quantum mechanics and dimensional engineering unmatched. Yet this mechanical bird used principles even he didn't fully recognize. Hybrid systems, jury-rigged solutions that shouldn't work, but somehow did. It was innovation born of necessity, creativity in its purest form. "There," Alara finally said, making one last adjustment. She set the bird on the workbench and pressed its activation point. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the bird's eyes glowed softly. Its wings unfolded with a whisper of servo motors. It tilted its head, opened its beak, and sang, a crystalline melody that filled the small workshop with beauty. The baby dragon exploded with joy, leaping and spinning, small puffs of harmless flame erupting in celebration. It grabbed the bird, hugging it close, then rushed to Alara and wrapped itself around her leg, purring like an engine. "You're welcome, buddy," Alara laughed, scratching behind the dragon's ear ridge. "Take better care of it this time, okay?" Prince Valen felt something shift in his centuries-old perspective. The Galactic Council had long debated humanity's place in the cosmic order. Some wanted to restrict them, limit their expansion. Others saw them as useful laborers, nothing more. But Valen saw something different now. He saw a species that valued individuals over empires, that measured wealth in kindness rather than power. A species that could look at something broken and see not what it was, but what it could be again. The Dragon Prince deactivated his cloaking field and entered the workshop. Alara jumped, startled by the sudden appearance of a being nearly 3 meters tall, scales shimmering with royal purple and gold. Your Highness," she stammered, immediately recognizing the crown marks on his crest. "You fixed his toy," Valen said simply, his voice resonating like distant thunder. Yes, he was crying. I couldn't just—" Alara stopped, unsure how to explain human compassion to someone who probably thought her species was beneath notice. "In our empire," Valen continued, "we have master craftsmen who have studied for centuries. Yet none would have attempted what you did tonight. They would have declared it beyond saving." He looked at the singing bird, then at his nephew still clutching Alara's leg. "You possess something we dragons have lost in our long history. You still believe in second chances." He reached into his dimensional pocket and produced a crystal card. "The Empire owes you a debt, Elar of Earth. This token grants you audience with the Dragon Throne. Should you ever need anything at all, present it, and you will have the Empire's full support." Elara took the card with trembling hand, still processing the fact that she was talking to dragon royalty because she'd fixed a toy. As Valen collected his nephew and prepared to leave, he paused at the door. "The Council meets in 3 cycles to discuss humanity's status. I will tell them what I witnessed tonight. Your people may be young, but you possess wisdom that transcends age." After they left, Elara sat in her workshop, crystal card in hand, and realized that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could shift the trajectory of entire civilizations. She smiled and returned to her workbench. There were always more broken things that needed fixing, and she was only human, which as it turned out might be exactly enough.